Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Today we're gonna continuing on our big topic, which is fraction, and this time it's on dividing a proper fraction by a whole number. So let's start. Our learning objective for today is we are dividing a proper fraction by a one-digit whole number. Our step to success for today are the first one is we need to flip the fraction on the right. I will demonstrate this to you later on. Step 2, change division into multiplication. Step 3, multiply the fractions as usual. This we have touched on multiplying fractions last week, so you can use either the normal method or the cancelling method, whichever method that you feel confident with. Our last step for today is we need to simplify the fraction if we can. Let's jump right ahead into example 1. We have 4 out of 5 divided by 7. Now, first thing first, I have taught you the basic of fractions last year when you were in year 4. So when we have a whole number, so we have a 7 right here as the whole number, 7 as a whole number, we know that 7 is actually 7 out of 1. Any whole number, when you change it into a fraction, they are always out of 1 because this means 7 divided by 1, which is just 7. So literally 7 out of 1 means 7. They are the same thing. 7 divided by 1 is 7. Next example, for example, we have 20. So 20 is a whole number right here. It is not a fraction, it is whole number. But if you want to change it into a fraction, it is always out of 1. This is the same thing as 20. They are equal. Any number, as long as they are a whole number. For example, as big as 1,000. So 1,000 is actually 1,000 divided by 1, which is just the same as 1,000. Okay, we have touched on this, the basics of fraction, last year. I hope you can recall that. Right. Moving on to our topic, why we need that quick recap is because you are going to change the whole number as a fraction. So we have 7 here as the whole number. So first thing first, we need to put a 1 as the denominator. So we have 4 out of 5 divided by 7 out of 1. 7 out of 1 is literally 7. They're equal. So we have that. Now, step 1, flip the fraction on the right. So the fraction on the right is this one, 7 out of 1. On the left is 4 out of 5. Let me just label that. This is on the right. I'm going to label that with R, and then this is on the left. You need to flip the fractions on the right, which is 7 out of 1. Now, what does it mean by flip? Flip means where you exchange the denominator with the numerator. What is at the bottom now becomes at the top. So this becomes 4 out of 5 divided by 1 out of 7. This is what it means by flip. So we are done with step 1. Step 2, change the division into multiplication. When you flip the fraction on the right, you need to change this one. You need to change the division into multiplication. So we have 4 out of 5 times 1 out of 7. When you come back to school after Raya, I will go back, I will review back to this particular topic, and I will show you using diagrams why it becomes multiplication and why do we need to flip the fraction. So that is step 2. So we have changed the division into multiplication. Step 3, multiply as usual. Now this should look familiar to you because we have done this topic last week. So you can do either canceling method or the normal method. Now, canceling method does not apply to all numbers. Only when you can divide two numbers using the same factor, then you can use canceling method. But let's look at our fractions right here. We have 4 out of 5 times 1 out of 7. Can you cancel 4 and 7? Do they have the same factor to divide them with? Or how about 5 and 1? Can you divide them by the same factor? If you can't, then you can use the normal method, which is just 4 times 1 and 5 times 7. So we have 4 times 1 gives 4, 5 times 7 gives 35. So that is step 3. To be safe, you can always use the normal method like this. Okay, this is the safest way. If you're confident enough, then you can do canceling method if you can cancel it. But if you cannot, then it always goes back to the normal method, which is this one, right? Okay, so that is step 3. Step 4, simplify if can. Now ask yourself, can you reduce this fraction further? 4 out of 35, can you divide them by the same factor? If you can't, then the answer stays as 4 out of 35. Example 2, 2 out of 5 divided by 3. Now first thing first, change the 3 into a fraction. You know that 3 whole is out of 1. So we have 3 out of 1. Then step 1, flip the fraction on the right. The fraction on the right is this one. Let me just use a different color pen. So we have 3 out of 1. Flip the fraction on the right. So when you flip, they become 2 out of 5 divided by 1 out of 3. So that is step 1. Step 2, change the division into multiplication. So step 3 is now 2 out of 5 times 1 out of 3. So we have changed the division into multiplication. So that is step 2. Step 3, multiply the fractions as usual. To be on the safe side, let's just do this. 2 times 1 and 5 times 3. So 2 times 1 gives us 2. Oops, that should be in white. 2 times 1 gives 2. 5 times 3 gives 15. So that is step 3. Step 4, simplify if can. Ask yourself, can you divide 2 and 15 using the same factor? If can't, then the answer stays as 2 out of 15. Example 3, 4 out of 5 divided by 4. First thing first, change the 4 into a fraction, which is just 4 out of 1. Because 4 is a whole number. And a whole number, when you change it into a fraction, it is always out of 1. So step 1, flip the fraction on the right. That is 4 out of 1. So you need to flip it. So this becomes 4 out of 5 divided by 1 out of 4. You just flip it. And then that is step 1. Step 2, change division into multiplication. We want to change this division into multiplication. So we have 4 out of 5 times 1 out of 4. So that is step 2. Step 3, multiply the fractions as usual. You can multiply numerator with numerator, denominator with denominator. Be careful, we are multiplying and not adding. So 4 times 1 gives 4. 5 times 4 gives 20. So that is step 3. Step 4, simplify if can. Ask yourself, can you reduce this fraction further? Can you divide them by the same factor? I think, yeah, you can. Both of the numbers are in timetables 4, so you can divide them by 4. So 4 divided by 4 gives 1. 20 divided by 4 gives 5, and that is the smallest, the reduced version of the fraction. There is another method where you can use cancelling method for this one. So this is method 1. Method 2 I'm going to show you. So same old thing, same same step. So 4 divided by 4 out of 1. You just put out of 1 here. Then you need to flip the fraction. So this becomes 4 out of 5 divided by 1 out of 4. And then you need to change the division into multiplication. So this becomes 4 out of 5 times 1 out of 4. Now, from this onwards, you can actually use cancelling method on this one. Why is that? Because you can cancel 4 and 4. You can divide them by the same factor, which is 4. So 4 divided by 4, let me just do that calculation here. 4 divided by 4 is 1. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. 4 divided by 4 is 1. So what is left is 1 out of 5 times 1 out of 1. And then you just multiply them as usual. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So 1 times 1 is 1. 5 times 1 is 5. And you got the same answer. Whichever method you're using for multiplying fraction, they both lead to the same answer. Now it's time for you to try. Take a piece of paper, or you can use your mini whiteboard and your marker pen, and try this one. 4 out of 11 divided by 6. Follow this step slowly and one by one. If you're still confused, if you're still unsure, you can always rewind back to the examples I have demonstrated to you. And also for this example, I think you can use cancelling method if you're confident enough. If you're not confident on using cancelling method, that's okay. You can just multiply the fraction as usual. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. Let's just quickly recap our LO and S to S for today. Today, we are dividing a proper fraction by a one-digit whole number. Our step to success for today, the first one is flip the fraction on the right, but before that you need to change the whole number into a fraction first. It's just out of 1. Then you can flip the fraction on the right. The denominator becomes the numerator, numerator becomes denominator. Step 2, change division into multiplication. Step 3, multiply the fractions as usual. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. Step 4, simplify if can. Today's exercise is in your home learning pack. The second one is on page 81. If you have any questions, if you have any problems, if you're still unsure, you can always contact me privately on my WhatsApp. That's all for today. Good luck, everyone. Bye.